Okay, once again, welcome to our session number 14. Today we are going to discuss about virtual private cloud called as a VPC. This is one of the very important session because uh, it's a core AWS component. If you have to clear your examination, you have to understand how VPC works and in the real time how we are going to configure your own VPC. So that's kind of thing we have to discuss about this. And the exam point of view, it is very, very, very important. You will get up to 12 questions on this VPC so that if you understand better, it all 12 questions you are able to answer. Minimum you will get at least 8 questions. So um, average you will get consider you will get 10 questions and the exam point of view, it is very, very essential to understand VPC because in the real time scenario, you are going to create your VPC for your business needs. All right, let's see what are the agenda for today. Okay, so this is our agenda today. So we are going to talk about virtual private cloud VPC on overview. What is actually a VPC and um, why we have to create VPC and what is the purpose of the VPC. We are going to talk about that. Then we are going to talk about VPC components, high level approach. That means in high level, how actually VPC is going to work and what are the main components we have. And we are going to talk about the VPC functionality, how it is going to work in terms of functionality perspective. And once again, we are going to talk about VPC components, a detailed walkthrough, whatever we discussed in the high level approach. There is a reason behind why I have splitted these two things in between detailed approach because we need to understand first the high level components and how VPC is going to work, that functionality. Then we are going to talk about each and every components in detail and VPC configuration type. We are going to see what are the types we are going to use and we are going to create this type of VPC and at the exam point of view and your job perspective, what are the main concept you have to understand. So that is called as a final touch. At the end, as usual, we are going to have hands-on, which is today we are going to have AWS VPC. So these are the agenda for the today session and we'll move to the next slide. Okay. So before explaining on these points, as usual, so I would like to explain some more thing related to this VPC. Okay, so these days, if you see the data breach or exposing the customer data to the hackers, okay, it is a quite common thing. For example, in recently Capital One, they have reported their 1 million customer data has been compromised. Okay, so like that, Bank of America is recently, not recently, 18 months ago, there are 3 million customer records have been compromised. Okay, like this, regularly we are hearing, or frequent interval we are hearing this kind of compromise. Okay, so these days, because of this compromise, companies wants to strengthen their data so that they want to go for very well secured environment. Okay, so in that case, even if you are working with your third party vendor, for example, you are hiring two people for 2 months of work. Okay, they are into third party, and you are working as a full time employee in your organization. So whatever you are accessing the data, more or less, that third party vendors also accessing your data. Okay, after 2 months of their tenure with your project, the data is still risk because they were temporary workers and even full time also they have some challenges, but not like as a contract workers like 2 months, 3 months kind of thing. So in that case, every time, everywhere they have to. That means the organization have to safeguard their data. Okay, as part of this kind of thing, so um, every company is trying to move to cloud as we discussed earlier. Okay, so you already know that we have public cloud, whatever we are creating on EC instances, it may be publicly accessible, and hybrid cloud, so that certain people can limit entry on your cloud, but certain people will be allowed, and private cloud. Okay, So where you have your own cloud services within AWS or Azure kind of thing. So in that case, so VPC is one of the private cloud, okay, where you are able to create your own space in the AWS. Okay, so what does that means? So how we are operating your on-premises data or your operation on-premises thing. So similar kind of execution you are able to make it in AWS also. That means you will get not a shared resources in AWS like all other tenants. Here you are going to have a isolated place where you are able to set up your own configuration, your own VPC, that is your own EC2 instances kind of thing, so that not all the traffic come to your EC2 instances. That means you can restrict whosoever you want to restrict, and you can allow whosoever you can allow. Okay, so it is a separate isolated area within the cloud for your organization. That means you are not going to share your cloud space to anyone like other tenants. Okay, for example, if you know that Netflix, right, so and Amazon Prime, all are kind of tenants in a particular cloud space, but uh, some bankers, they have their own private cloud, so that nobody can access their data. So even if you are in AWS, even though it is well secured, so if you have your isolated space within the cloud, then it is a well secured, and you are able to limit the number of people entry or access to your private cloud. So that is the purpose we are bringing VPC over here. It is a virtual private cloud within the AWS, so that you can have your own cloud operations within AWS. Okay, so the main advantage of this VPC is that is it is a one level up for that security, whatever you are creating the EC2 instances, and you are able to access all other AWS services like S3 and EC2 and EBS, whatever it is. Okay, so like other public cloud tenants, how they are accessing the other AWS services, that similar thing you are also able to access the other AWS services. So this is the reason behind why we are going for the VPC. So I think you are able to understand why we need VPC. It is a virtual private cloud within AWS. That means you are getting your own space in the cloud, that is isolated space, so that you can limit the people entry, so that your data is more secured than typical public cloud. So that is the purpose. I think we are clear on here. If not, then I will take your question at the end. Okay. So continuing this presentation, okay, so VPC is basically a private cloud, as I said, in the AWS environment that help you to use all the services by AWS in the defined private space. Yeah, we discussed. And Amazon VPC enables you to launch AWS resources into a virtual network that you have defined. Okay, whatever the configuration you have defined in VPC, it will launch accordingly. How we are going to launch EC2 instances using VPC, that we are going to see the hands-on today. And this virtual network closely resembles the traditional network, is how we are performing in the your on premises. A similar kind of thing you are operating in the AWS, like your own data center. And the main advantage of the VPC in AWS, that is your on premises, whatever scale up and scale down, it is very complicated to do that, but in AWS you already know that. So you are getting the on premises flexibility plus the auto scaling benefits, so that's why it is a more advantage creating VPC in AWS. You have complete control over your virtual network environment. That means you can choose your own range of IP addresses, so that uh, uh, not everyone knows what IP numbers you are using until unless you are going to disclose. So it is completely confidential, and you can create your own subnets and configuration of route tables and network gateways. So Forget about what is the subnet, what is the configuration, route tables and network gateways, because I'm going to explain next. So at this moment, just understand this naming convention, that's all. And Amazon VPC is the networking layer for Amazon EC2 that already we talk about that one. So one more security layer for EC2 you can consider as VPC, and it allows you to build your own virtual network within AWS. And you can use both IP version 4 and IP version 6 in your VPC to secure and easy access to resource and applications. If you are an IT, you may understand what is the IP version 4 and version 6. But if you don't know, okay, that's still fine. So there are two types of IPs these days. One is IP4 and IP6. So both are secured first of all, and IPC version 6, it is a more secured because it has a hexadecimal notation for the IP numbers, not like IP4, which is always using the digit, for example, 10.0.0.10. So like that we will use in the IP version 4, but in the IP version 6, it is hexadecimal kind of thing. So it is a more secure, and you have option to use your traditional IP numbers, or you can go for the more secured IP version 6 also. So it is that kind of features you have. You can easily customize the network configuration of your Amazon VPC. It is not a very hectic process to configure your VPC. It is very easy. For example, if you have a web application where it's a customer facing, that means, for example, you are running a e-commerce site where customers are uh, typing your company name.com, for example, Amazon.com, and you are redirected to the Amazon.com web page, where you are able to browse the items, and you can add the items and pay, ship, etc., etc. Right? For such instances or for, such scenarios, the web application is going to be the public face, but whereas the items, whatever you are keeping in your database, it is not a public facing. And whatever you are writing the application for that web application, it is not a customer facing. So only web server is going to be a customer facing, where application server and database server is a private. So it is not a public facing. So in that case, you can define what customer can access in the publicly and what you can restrict from the access. So you can customize such configuration in AWS. That means Amazon VPC. And other than that, you can easily define the configuration, not only IP configuration and other root tables, how you can access the data, everything. So these are the main concept of VPC. And continuing to the next slide, you can create multiple VPCs based on your needs within the region. And each Amazon VPC is logically isolated, even if it is a shared its IP address space. So that is a very important concept. And you can create, you must specify IP version 4 address range by choosing a classless inter-domain routing, CID or block, such as 10.0.0 and 16. So what is the classless internet domain block? Okay. Just at this moment, I'm passing this presentation and going to my Chrome browser, where I'm typing CIDR/X. Okay, if I type this one, and you are able to see the block of IP numbers, where you are able to see what IP numbers are available uh, for you to use. For example, I usually go for 10.0.0 0.0.0, and 28 is the minimum size of the IP number, which we are going to talk about in the upcoming slides. But at this moment, I'm going to 16. That is the maximum number we are going to have. Okay. So for our hands-on also, we are going to use this IP number. Okay. When I'm choosing this type of IP number, So these are the thing is must. So maximum I can use for up to 16. Okay, so in that case, if you see, I'm able to see 8 blocks over here and 8 blocks over here. So I'm going to use a 16 block of IP. For example, if I'm going for 24, I'm able to see one more 8. And if you want to go for one more 8, I can mention over here. But at this point, so whatever, if 0, all the block will be 0. If 8, only 8 will display. If it is 16, it will only 16 block, it will be display like that. Okay, so here you are able to see first IP is starting with 1, and the last IP it is going to end with 254. Okay, so similarly, how many IP numbers are available over here? It is 65,536 count. It's available, so you can very much use this IP number. And 255.255.0.0, you already know what is that 255 kind of thing. It is a net masking. So whenever you are choosing, you are able to see what is the net masking over here also. So this is the kind of IP address you are able to see, and you can choose one and you can use that IP number. So that same thing we are going to use for our today hands-on 10.0.0.0/16. Okay, I hope you are able to understand why we are using the CIDR that XYZ. It is an interactive IP address and range visualizer, how much range you can avail and how you can use. Okay, just going back to that presentation. So now we are understand what is the classless inter-domain routing, that is the CIDR block. Okay, such as whatever we have chosen there. Okay, so next, the address range of Amazon VPC cannot be changed after the Amazon VPC is created. So you have to define your address range while you are creating the VPC, not after creating your VPC. And um, as I said, Amazon VPC address range may be as large as /16. Okay, 65,536 available addresses when I have pinged on while I was preparing this presentation at midnight 2:30. Okay, so that time this was available. It may be changed as much as customer is consuming, or as small as 28. Okay, so here you have see the tricks. So 28 is not a maximum and 16 is not a minimum. Here minimum is 28 and maximum is 16. So that's what you have to understand, because it is a very important point in the exam, that how many minimum VPC address range you have, and you will get 4 options, and you will see 16 and 28 both the options. So you should not confuse. 16 is minimum. So you have to understand 28 is a minimum and 16 is the maximum kind of thing. Okay, and should not overlap any other network with which they are not be connected. Okay, so there are 2 different networking platforms available within AWS, that is EC2 Classic and EC2 VPC. Okay, why we have 2 different types of platform available for VPC? That means, so Amazon first introduced EC2, and after some years they have introduced VPC. So if anyone has created the account before 2013, then they may will not have this EC2 VPC kind of thing. So once if you have created after that, then you will get this kind of 2 options. Okay, and it has a significant benefit, such as it's well secured because it's a entirely isolated area you are going to have, and simple to use, and you are able to customize your IP numbers, and whatever your needs you can easily customizable. Okay, so before going to the next slide, there are 2 types of VPCs. Actually, here we talk about VPC platforms, but uh, we actually have 2 types of VPC. One is the default VPC, and another one is the non-default VPC. That means, what is that default and non-default VPC? Okay, that default VPC, uh, which is created by Amazon. Okay, with that typical configuration. And the non-default VPC, you are creating your own VPC. How we are going to create a VPC and uh, default VPC and non-default VPC, that we are going to handle hands-on in at the end of the session. So you may have some questions. I will take at the end. If you're not speaking, please put on mute. Okay. Moving to next slide. So today we are talking about VPC for your information, and it is a very important session. And you have to give more focus on these slides because it is very essential to clear your examination. So if you are doing multitasking, please stop it and focus on this session. It will be really useful for you today, tomorrow, and even day after tomorrow. Okay, so moving to the next slide. Today, in this slide, we are talking about VPC components. Okay, so there are two types of VPC components. One is the essential VPC components, and another one is optional components. I would say it is a main components in the first block over here, and it is optional components over here. Okay, so first one is subnets. Okay, what is the subnet? Okay, for example, you have a big organization, okay, where you have multiple departments. For example, human resource department, sales department, market department, and service department. You have all the departments. Okay, so one thing is the each department is functioning different purpose. Okay, so in that same thing, each department using different kinds of information in our organization. For example, for HR department, they don't care about what else is going on because it's not their job. Okay, so marketing, how it is going on, that is not a problem for the service team because their job is to do the service. Okay, so service team, how they are performing, it is not a matter to the sales team. So like that, we have several departments, but each department different functionality they are operating, right? So in that case, so whenever you are getting the information, so you are breaking that information to the respective departments, and you are just sharing with that department. For example, you need 10 resources to hire, then you will not go to the sales team. Okay, you are going to the HR team for hiring. Okay, there are certain orders they needed from other organization, and you are going to sell them to that company. So it is not a matter to the your HR team, so it is matter to your sales team. So like that, so the relevant information you are sharing with relevant team. So similarly, if you are talking about your large network in your organization, okay, it is difficult to manage. Okay, for that, what you are doing, you are going to split into the um, a small and manageable network. So those network is called as a subnet. Okay, so no need to confuse much. It's a small component of network which you are going to manage effectively. So for that, you are going to use the subnet. Okay, why we are using the subnet, and what how we are going to do the subnet, everything we are going to discuss in the next slide, so that you are able to understand better. Okay. Next, route table. Okay, what is the route table? You are putting the rules in the route tables. Okay, so in that case, you can have multiple route tables in a particular VPC, and that within that route table, you can have multiple rules you can specify, so that which server or which entity can access on what. So everything you can define in the route table. And the endpoints, it is kind of the one of the several component. You are going to see how it looks like, and we're going to talk about that in the upcoming slide. And elastic network interfaces, how we are going to give flexible IPs over there, that you are going to talk about. And the security group, it is a stateful security group, and network access control is list is stateless. So that is the main difference. But we are going to talk about in detail about security groups and ACLs. But at this moment, you have two types of security. One is the security groups, and another one is ACL, that is network access control list. These are the two security things you have in your VPC as well as your EC2 instances. Okay, so what ACL is to, it's a stateless, so it will deny the rules and allow the rules. Only these two things it will be performed in the network access control list. And but the security groups, you already know that we have created some security groups in auto scaling. We have already created some security groups in EC2. So like that, a similar kind of stateful security groups which give more advantage for your security environment. And the peering, what is that peering? And how we are going to access the peering, we are going to talk about next slides. Okay, peering is typically communicating one VPC to the another VPC, and how it is going to communicate, that we will discuss. Okay, so these are the main VPC components which we need to know. If you refer some other materials, there may be something they move to optional, and optional component they move to the main. But my perspective, my knowledge, my reference, everything is these are the main components. And if you are able to understand these things, that is sufficient. And we should not forget about optional components also. So internet gateways, that is very important, another concept. But why I have mentioned here in optional component, that I am going to explain next. And elastic IP addresses, where you have a flexible IP addresses range that you already know. And dynamic host configuration protocol, it is an optional set for the setting your VPC, and even you don't have DHCP, still you are able to work on that VPC. That's why I put on the option. And the network address translation, that is, you are going to connect with multiple VPCs simultaneously. That time you are able to use a NAT. And virtual private gateway, VPG, and customer gateways and virtual private network. These are all already, you know that these are the gateways to connect and access the subnet. So these are the components, main and optional components of VPC. Okay, next slide, you are able to understand even clear, even better. Okay, so this is actually, yeah, VPC. Okay, and VPC symbol how looks like this. Okay, so here there are only two options you can access your VPC, only with internet gateway and or virtual private gateway. Okay, which we talk about in the previous slide. Okay, here, so anybody else can access this one? No, not everybody. Only those have that access. There only they are able to log into internet gateway and virtual private gateway. So in that case, so either they are logging here or logging here, it doesn't matter. Both it's going to the router table. Okay, where you are routing your access to the route tables. Okay, so I think you are able to understand so far. So only you have two options to enter into your VPC, and both the options you are routing to your router table, where the router table is properly routing who can access and what, so that it goes to that router table. And before that, so the VPC is a region specific, as I said. Okay, so the red color mark, whatever we have mentioned here, the boundaries are the region specific. And currently I have mentioned as US East. Okay, it's a typically Virginia. And within that region, you have the yellow boundary that is called as a VPC, your VPC. I think you are able to see my mouse movement over here. It is a simple I'm making here so that you are able to understand. Okay, so within that VPC, you have two options to enter in that VPC. Once you're done here, then that means you are entered into VPC. Okay, from there, you are the route table, making a route. Okay, where you can access, where you are making the rules, who and what we can access into the route table. And that route table will redirect to that network ACL, access control list. I already talked about that, where access control list is we have it's a stateless, as I said. It is only allow rule and deny rule. Okay, it's whatever you have mentioned in the network ACL. Based on that, it will act. It will not do any other thing. It will allow or deny. Okay, by default, everything will be deny over there, and you have to specifically mention which IP address has to be allowed. Okay, based on that, it will work and allow only those IP numbers. And from there, it will move to the security groups. Okay, So that security groups, as I said, it's a stateful. That means it's a you have lots of security groups. You can define your own security groups and how and who can access in that security group and what specific role they have. Everything you can define in this stateful security group. And at the end, if you are able to see, you have instances over there. Okay, here there are two types of instances we have. One is the public instances and another one is the private instances. Okay, so the public instances, you typically have the internet access, but in the private you will not have internet access, but still you can access these private instances through these security groups and other network configurations. Okay, for example, here it is a public subnet. Okay, where you have defined 10.0.1.0/24, that is the public, and here I have mentioned as 10.0.2.0/24. So even it is a same a area, but it is a different IP number, so it is still more secure. So this is the private subnet, and this is the public subnet. Within that, you are accessing your instances. Okay, so currently my VPC is 10.0.0.0. /16. So this is all about how typical VPC looks like and what are the components, whatever we discussed in the previous slide, we have listed here. So you are able to understand better now. And before going to the next slide, you have to understand this IP number range also. Okay, for example, here 10.0.0.0 till 10.255.255.255. That is, these are the private IP addresses which starts either with the 10 prefix or 8 prefix. Okay, if it starts starting with the 10 or 8, that is not the meaning. It is a private network, that is private IP address. And you have 12 prefix or 16 prefix, okay, which you are able to start with that means 172 and 16.00, and these many things it should be allowed. So you have quite number of IP addresses range to choose from. And 192.168.00 until 192.168.255.255. So that is the range is 192 and 162. That is the prefix usually, and maximum you can go with 16. So that is the thing you have to understand about this private IP address. All right. So this is about overall VPC, and you may have some questions. I will talk about this at the end whenever you are asking the question. And once again, I'm getting some noise in the backside. If you are not speaking, please put on mute. Okay, so going to the next slide. Okay, so we talk about the main components and optional components of VPC. Now we are going to talk about a detailed approach on what VPC functionality. Okay, so the main feature is create an Amazon VPC on SOW scalable infrastructure and specify it's a private IP address range from any range you choose. I think we already talked about that because it's a kind of your on-demand, on-premises, how we are working, that similar kind of thing you are working here. So, but the main difference is you will not have scalable options in your on-premises, but here you have. And you can expand your VPC by adding secondary IP ranges. You are able to understand better on this point when we are going to handle going for the hands-on. Divide your VPC's private IP address range into one or more public or private subnets to facilitate running application and service in your VPC. You already saw in that previous screen how public and private IP addresses range for the instances access. control inbound and outbound access to and from individual subnet using network access controls. You already know that in that previous picture. This is the main feature or functionality of AWS. Store data in Amazon S3 and set permissions such as the data can only be accessed from within your Amazon VPC. That is the another feature. Assign multiple IP addresses and attach multiple elastic network interface to instance your VPC so that you will have a broad range of your VPC. Attach one or more Amazon Elastic IP addresses to any instances to your VPC so it can be reached directly from the internet. Yes. And connect your VPC with other VPCs and access resources in other VPCs via private IP address using VPC peering. We are going to talk about more on VPC peering at the end, but at this moment, as we discussed, you are able to access multiple VPCs using horizontally or network horizontally or vertically aligned VPCs. That is called a VPC pairing. We will talk about more at the end. And continuing to that functionality, VPC functionality, it is a privately connect to AWS service without using an internal gateway, not a firewall, proxy through VPC endpoint. And you have option to choose the internet gateway without internet gateway to connect your VPCs. Using that means what I'm trying to say here, you are able to use your private VPCs with other AWS services like S3, DynamoDB, and ELP and EC2, everything without internet gateway. That's what I mean. And privately connect your own services or software as a service solution powered by AWS Private Link. That means you can use for third-party link also for that and bridge your Amazon VPC and your on-site infrastructure with AWS site-to-site VPN so that you can run two on-premises data center kind of thing. And without any latency, you are able to access the data between your on-premises and your private cloud. Enable EC2 instances into EC2 Classic platform to communicate with instances in a VPC using a private IP addresses. I think you are able to understand this point. Associate VPC security groups with the instances on EC2 Classic. This again talking about security groups with the EC2 and use VPC flow logs to log information about network traffic so that you are able to understand how the network flow is there so that you can expand your IP addresses. And as we discussed, you can enable both IP version 4 and IP version 6 in your VPC. So these are the VPC functionality. So hope you are able to understand this one. So moving to the next slide. We are going to talk about detail on the components, whatever we discussed some slides ago. Subnet, it's a very important concept once again. So a subnet is a segment of an Amazon VPC's IP address range where you can launch Amazon EC2 instances and RDS database and other things so that you are able to customize your IP number based on the CADR blocks available. And we already talk about these AWS resources CADR blocks. And the smallest subnet that you can create is 28, that is 16 IP addresses. And AWS reserves the first 4 IP addresses and the last IP addresses for every subnet for internal networking purpose. And if you see the example, a subnet defined as 28 has 16 available IP addresses, subtract the 5 IP needed by AWS to yield 11 IP addresses for your use within the subnet. So you have to understand these things so that whenever you are creating VPC, you are able to provide the IP numbers accordingly. And after creating an Amazon VPC, you can add one or more subnet in each availability zone. Okay, so it's not a matter even after create we can do that one, but you have to remember one important point. Whenever you are creating one subnet, that is equal to one availability zone. So you cannot create multiple subnet in multiple availability zone, but you can create multiple subnet in single availability zone. Okay. So that is very important concept. And one small update over here. I think now we are good. Thank you for that. And okay, so hopefully you are able to understand now. Okay, next subnet we are continuing. Subnet can be classified as a public, private, or VPN only. Public subnet is one in which they are associated with the route table. Actually, we are going to talk about later in the hands-on, but I think you already aware about how it looks like in this diagram, so that it is same thing we are going to see in our practical things also. And I would say I can remove here because you already know now. And private subnet is one in which the associate route table does not direct the subnet traffic to Amazon VPC's internet gateway. And you already know that yeah, VPN only subnet is one which the associated the route table directs the subnet traffic, so that based on the rule whatever you get define the route table, it will be redirect that connections. And regardless of the type of subnet, the internal IP address range of the subnet is always private until unless it's specific to the public. Default Amazon VPCs contain one public subnet in every availability zone within the region with the net mask of 20, which already signed that CIDR class XYZ. So this about the subnet. It's a small network to manage your enterprise network, so that you are able to split into multiple based on how you are able to manage. So that's the concept of subnet. And the route table is also one of the important logical information you needed to know for your examination. So route table is a logical construct with an Amazon VPC that contains a set of rules called routes that are applied to the subnet and used to determine where network traffic is directed based on the that means incoming traffic, how much volume it is coming, based on that it will be route. And the route table routes the what permit Amazon EC2 instances within the different subnet with an Amazon VPC to communicate with each other. You can modify route table and add your own custom routes anytime, even after creating your VPC. So just you have to go to the action and you can click modify route tables, then you are able to modify. We are going to see in the hands-on. You can also use the route tables to specify which subnet are public and which subnet are private, so that it will route accordingly. Each route table contains a default route called as a local route, which enables a communication within the Amazon VPC, and this route cannot be modified or removed. Okay, so it's a very essential component for the examination point. And additional routes can be added to the direct traffic to exit to the Amazon VPC via the internet gateway or virtual private gateway or the NAT instances. And this one is another important point where I made bold. Each subnet must be associated with route table. Okay, so without association, it will not work. Okay, so it is very important, which control the routing for the subnet. If you don't explicitly associate a subnet with a route table, the subnet uses the main route table, and you can replace the main route table within the custom tables so that you have created, and you know subnet is automatically associated with it. So you have to attach as soon as you created. Okay. So this is about internet gateways in the next slide, where we are provisioning who and what any user can access this internet gateway using their IP address. Okay, so typically the internet gateway is horizontally scaled and highly available Amazon VPC component that allows communication between instances in your Amazon VPC and the internet. And it is redundant and it's always available. Internet gateway provides a target in your VPC route table for internet routable traffic. And you already know that EC2 instances within Amazon VPC are only aware of their private IP addresses. that IP address we have to choose accordingly. When traffic is sent from the instances to the internet gateway transits the reply address to the instance public IP address and maintains the one-to-one map of the instance private IP address and public IP address. You saw in that diagram which we set at this point. And when an instance receives traffic from the internet gateway translates the destination IP address to the private IP address and forward the traffic to the Amazon VPC. It is typically from public to private where is needed, and it based on that internet gateway access control, you will define like this. And this all about internet gateway. And 2 points we are covering. One is the VPC endpoints, and another one is the elastic network interface. In the exam, you may get one question in the combination of this one. The VPC endpoint enables you to create a private connection between your Amazon VPC and another AWS services without requiring access over the internet. The same point we discussed earlier, and through VPC endpoint only it is possible to achieve. And you can create multiple endpoints for a single service, and you can use the instances for your VPC which do not require public IP address to communicate with the resources in the services. Okay, so whenever you are doing that one, so your traffic between your VPC and other services does not leave the Amazon network. So still you are within that Amazon network only. So you are able to access the other services. And as I said, Elastic Network Interfaces is a virtual network interface that you can attach on instances to the Amazon VPC. And ENIs, that is Elastic Network Interface, are only available within an Amazon VPC, and they are associated with a subnet upon the creation. So they can have one public and multiple private IP addresses. If there are multiple private IP addresses, one of them is primary. So even if we have a one, it's supposed to be a primary, and you have to remember one primary default IP address you have, and public IP is not a default one. Sometimes it will be asked in the examination also. Okay, so that's about these things. Next, we are going to talk about access control list and security groups in the next slides. So security groups, as you know that it's a virtual stateful firewall that controls inbound and outbound network traffic to AWS resources and EC2 instances. And you know that EC2 instances must be launched into the security groups. So every EC2 instances must be attached at least one security group, and you can attach as many security groups to the any EC2 instances. So that EC2 instance also in that VPC. So by default, you are attaching at least one security group with that VPC. The default security group allows communication between all resources within the security group. So allows all outbound traffic and denies all other traffic. Okay, that also important point. And you may change the rules to the default security group, but you may not delete. Once it will be created, it will not be deleted. And you can create up to 500 security groups for Amazon VPC. And you can add up to 50 inbound and outbound roles to each security group. I think you already know that what is inbound and outbound. So who's ever trying to access, so the traffic is coming into your VPC, that is inbound, and whatever it is going out, it's outbound. I think you already know that. And if you need to apply more than 100 rules to an instances, you can associate up to 5 security groups with each network interface. And another important point, you can specify allow rules but not deny rules. Okay, this is an important difference between security groups and ACL. So now you know what is security groups. And again, there is some theoretical is going on. You have to, I'm not sure how effectively you are able to catch these points. It is easily forgettable. So what my suggestion is, you just to go through this recording once or twice so that you will understand better. But I have included all the important points in this presentation, so you need not refer any other single material other than this presentation, so that for exam point of view, this presentation is more than enough. But you have to focus and you have to go through 1 or 2 times on this VPC recording so that you are able to understand and you are able to move forward. Okay. So you can specify separate rules for inbound and outbound traffic within their security groups. By default, no inbound traffic allowed until you add inbound rules to the security group. By default, new security groups have an outbound rule that allows all outbound traffic. You can remove the rule and add outbound rule that allows specific outbound traffic only. And as I said, security groups are stateful. That means their responses to allowed inbound traffic are allowed to flow outbound regardless of outbound rules and vice versa. So it's a exam question. And the instances associated with the same security group can't talk to each other unless you add rules allowing it. And same thing, you can change the security groups within with which an instance is associated after launch, and changes will take effect immediately. As soon as you are changing the security group, you do not wait even 1 second. It is automatically apply immediately. That is, it is effective immediately, so that if any of your contractor is leaving your organization, so immediately their access will be stopped. Okay, I think you are able to understand about the security group. Next, we will see the control access control list. So where it's stateless, as I said, and you can allow rule and deny rule. That is the main function of ACL. And uh, network ACL is a numbered list of rules that AWS evaluates in order to starting with the lowest numbered rule to determine whether traffic is allowed or not out of subnet associated with the network ACL. Okay, just try to understand this point. Not difficult one. And this one is VPC are created with a modifiable default network ACL, so that you can update inbound or outbound traffic anytime. When you create a custom network ACL, the initial configuration will deny all inbound and outbound traffic until you create rules that allow otherwise. Okay, you have to specifically mention which IP address is supposed to be allow or deny, so that it will work accordingly. You may set up network ACL with rules similar to security groups in order to add layer to the security to your Amazon VPC, or you have to choose the default network. How we are going to set this one, we are going to see in next 5 minutes. ACL that does not filter traffic traversing the subnet boundary. Overall, every subnet must be associated with a network ACL. That's very important, like security groups. And here, just I'm giving a comparison of security groups and access control list. Okay, so operates the instance level security group, and network ACL is operates the subnet level, and that is a second layer of defense. Okay, so always security group is the first priority and network ACL is second one. And support allow rules only. Support allow rules and deny rules. Okay, and stateful, and this one is a stateless. And AWS evaluates all rules before deciding whether to allow traffic. But here AWS process rules in number order when deciding whether to allow traffic, applied selectively to individual instances, but here it is different, automatically applied to all the instances in the associate subnets. Okay, so these are the some comparison for your better understanding. So that's why I brought this table here. And peering, okay, I will go back, go to the next slide and come back here. Okay, so here is the multiple VPCs you have. One is the VPC-A and VPC-B and VPC-C. So here it is a you cannot directly connect VPC VPC B to C if you want to connect. Okay, so you have to go through the another VPC, which is the intermediate VPC-A. Okay, for example, if you are connecting to VPC-A to VPC-B, okay, you can connect this VPC and here also like this. But if you want to connect VPC-B to C, then you have to connect with the VPC-A and VPC-C. So this one is actually called as a pairing. Okay, now we'll go back to the previous slide. So Amazon VPC pairing connection is a networking connection between two Amazon VPCs that enables instances in their in either Amazon VPC to communicate with each other as they are within the same network. And you can create an Amazon VPC peering connection between your own Amazon VPCs or with other Amazon VPCs in other AWS account within a single region. For example, you can create uh, one VPC and I can create one VPC. We can connect our VPCs if it is a same region. A peering connection is neither a gateway nor an Amazon VPN connection and does not introduce a single point of failure of communication. Peering connections are created through a request accept proposal. That means when I am giving a request to your VPC access, okay, you have to accept that one. Okay, if you are not accepting, then that VPC I cannot accept access because it says by default it said denied. Okay, so same thing I'm mentioning here. The owner of the requesting Amazon VPC sends a request to peer to the owner of the peer Amazon VPC. If the peer Amazon VPC within the same account is identified by the VPC ID, if the peer VPC within the different account, it is identified the account ID and VPC ID. So that is some difference. The owner of the peer Amazon VPC has 1 week to accept or reject the request to peer with the requesting Amazon VPC before peering request expire. Okay, if no response, either accept or reject, after 1 week it will be expired, and you have to re-request once again if you want to access the uh, other account VPC. An Amazon VPC may have multiple peering connections, and the peering is one-to-one relationship between Amazon VPCs, meaning two Amazon VPCs cannot have two pairing agreements between them. That's what we are talking about this picture. Okay, so that's about the pairing, and we are almost the end of this theoretical lecture, and now we are talking about VPC configuration type. There are 4 types of configuration type we have. So this one is VPC with a single public subnet. So if you see, you in this picture, you have a VPC, and within that you have a public subnet. Okay, and where you are able to access your AWS services like S3 and DynamoDB, etc. So your instances is run in a private isolation section of AWS cloud with direct access to the internet, and a network access control list and security groups can be used to provide a strict control over inbound and outbound traffic. These things we are going to see when we are going to create the hands-on. A network /16 or 24 subnet. Public subnet instances use elastic IP or public IP access to the internet when you are creating with the VPC with a single public subnet. But the same thing, it is different when you are using a private as well as public subnet. Okay, and how you are accessing here in that same other AWS services. Okay, here in addition, here we are talking about VPC with the public and private subnet here, but in the previous slide we are talking about public subnet. Okay, so here when we are creating, yes, 16 and 24, 24 subnet will be created, and you already know that it is a containing public subnet. This configuration is a private subnet whose instances are not addressable or accessible from the internet. It's a separate entity. Okay, so next, this one is the, you are having a public subnet, private subnet. First slide we had a public subnet. Second slide we have a public and a private subnet. Now we have a your corporate data center VPN connection and accessing your AWS services. Okay, here also you are creating 116 network and with the 224 subnet. One subnet is directly connected to the internet while the other subnet is connected to your corporate network. That is the difference through IP sectional VPN tunnel. Okay, so if you go this route, VPN charges will be applied, and the price is not that high, but still it's not free. And this configuration adds the IP sectional virtual private node connection between your VPC and data center. So that's what we are talking about here. And the last one is called as a VPC with the private subnet only and hardware VPN access. So this one is a private subnet and you are using the hardware VPN access. Very rarely we will create such VPC tag, but still it's good to know. So that's why I have ordered here. Yeah, it gives 16 network with A/24 subnet, and this not two, this only one. And here also by default private IP address is by default, not a public one, and it has provide an IPsec VPN tunnel between your Amazon VPC and your corporate network. Here also VPN charges apply, not so high, but still it's not free. You can connect this private subnet to your corporate data center via IPsec that we already talked about. Your instances run in private isolate section of AWS cloud with a private subnet whose instances are not addressable from the internet. Okay, so I think we are done with this theoretical thing. Oh, sorry. We have one more slide to address what we learned today so far, and this is all are the important topics for the examination. Okay, it's a final touch, but it's a quick one. Understand what VPC and its core and optional components that you must understand to clear your exam. Understand the purpose of the subnet. Yes, you have to identify the difference between public subnet and private subnet and VPN only subnet. You have to identify this one. Understand the purpose of the route table, we already discussed, and purpose of the internet gateway we already discussed. Understand the DHCP options that provide to Amazon VPC, that you have to know what is that, and know the difference between Amazon VPC public IP address and elastic IP address, that we have to understand the differences. Understand what endpoints provide to on Amazon VPC that we discussed a couple of slides ago. Understand Amazon VPC pairing we discussed. Know the difference between security groups and network ACL, that stateful and stateless we discussed. Understand the components needed to establish VPN connection from a network to on Amazon VPC, that you have to understand. All right, so we're done with our theoretical part of VPC. Now we will let's move on to the hands-on. And 945, that is the Google Authenticator provides the MFA code. Okay, so here we will create VPC. VPC typically in the networking and content delivery. So clicking VPC over here. Okay. Okay, so currently I'm in the North Virginia. So current status is everything is fine, and it is operating normally, and you are able to see VPCs all regions, gateways. You can refer here how the services are running. Okay, everything is fine. So at this moment I don't have any VPC. Oh, okay, I have two. Okay, let them delete these two VPC. Or okay, I will leave it. We'll see. Okay, VPC dashboard. Okay, so here we are launching VPC wizard. Okay, so before going to that, okay, I want to show a difference between creating a EC2 instance here and whatever we have created in the services EC2. Okay, so we are going to see the differences over here. Now this EC2 whatever we are creating, it is related to VPC. Okay, for example, I'm launching VPC, sorry, EC2 instances over here, and I will go with only free tier only, because it is unnecessary charges if will or unnecessary time if we click everything. So here I will go with 2019 Windows instead of Linux. Okay, so here I'm choosing this free tier eligible general purpose EC2 instances. Next, I'm going for the configure and instances detail. Here, I leave it as it is things. So here, okay, I think I have to delete that VPC. Then only I'm able to show the difference, how it looks like. Okay, hold on. Whatever we are created, we are deleting here. Okay, and if you see here, one more right VPC. Yes, we done. All right, we have deleted VPC. Okay, now go back. Okay, here I'm clicking launch EC2 instances. Okay, so I'm going with the free tier only and with the Windows. Okay, here free tier eligible only I'm going, and here you are able to see no VPC is found. Okay, so that's the difference I want to show you. Okay, even if you are creating your EC2 instances using EC2 services, that is totally different. And here you are creating is totally different because it is VPC related EC2 instances. You have to master mention VPC over here. I don't have any VPC to choose, so I'm not able to. I cannot create any EC2 instances over here. Okay, so now go back and now I'm going to launch VPC Wizard. Okay, I think you are seeing this picture in my slide. So same thing here, and I'm going with the single public subnet so that you can create anything over here. We'll create one by one, or you can create your own at your home and let me know if you have any questions. At this time, at this point, we are going with VPC with a single public subnet and select. So whatever I have given CID or here 10.0.0.0.16. So that same IP address I'm giving here. Okay, so I would like to go with Amazon provided IP block. Okay, and these many IP numbers are available at this moment. And what is the VPC name? Kana AWS VPC. That's what I'm giving the name, and I leave it as the 24 as a public subnet, and here another IP that is version 6. I don't assign anything. Okay, I leave it as it is for version 6, and availability zone. I didn't specifically mention anything. Let it be which is the best availability zone, so that I will not face any problem on my own. And public subnet, that is the subnet name. You have to create subnet name. So I'm giving a public subnet. Public subnet, that is the name. And if you want, you can add endpoint. Okay, so that endpoint where you want to connect. Okay, so public subnet. So this is the actual endpoint. Okay, and DNS host names, yes, and hardware tenancy by default I have given instead of dedicated. Okay, so now I'm creating my VPC. So when I'm creating VPC, it will create the relevant components. Okay, internet gateway and everything. So now our VPC has been successfully created. And if you go to your VPC item, and we are able to see your VPC has been successfully created here, and it is available now, and this is the VPC ID. And now you are able to see the IP6 version CIDR thing. and this is the IP number we have given for the version 4, and this is the DHCP option set and the main route table. This is the main route table, and this is the main network access control so list, and this is the tenancies default, and default to VPC no. You can make it as yes in the options, and classic link, and this is the owner of this VPC. So owner means what is my account number, whatever it says, that is the you are able to see in the support center and your account number, and that account number will reflect over here. And if you go down, you are able to see here VPC ID and state and everything, what is enabled and what is disabled. And the main thing is you are able to see here the IP address and whether it is associated or not. By default, it is associated. Sometimes it may not. If it not, then you have to make sure it is associated. And if you go to the subnet, and you are able to see a subnet over here, because it was created whenever you have created the VPC. On the route tables, yes, it will be created the route table also whenever you have created. And internet gateways, it was created the internet gateway. So the main components have been created whenever you are creating the VPCs. Okay, but for example, if you want to create one more subnet for your VPC, so in this case you can go and create a subnet, and you can create your subnet name. For example, my subnet one kind of thing, and the VPC, which VPC you are going to attach, that is very important. So whatever we have created, Ghana AWS VPC we have here, and availability zone perspective, I'm not making any availability zone preference, so it is make it as by default. And once again, whenever you are creating this one subnet is supposed to be associated with one VPC. So I am choosing this VPC which we have created now, and CIDR block. Okay, what I can give. So this one I have planned to give. If it is if it is available, it will be accessible with the existing subnet. Okay, overlap with the existing subnet. Okay, then 24. Okay, 28. Okay, or any other subnet I have /24. Okay, must be valid IP. Okay, so /0 14. Okay, no. Okay, so you have to correctly assign that IP number over here. I can give 18. Let's see. No. Okay, so okay, none of them are available. Hold on. Okay, it's not available. Okay, trying this one.
Satya, you have like 5
Satya,
digits.
you are giving the 5th one. You need to have only 4 components, right?
Yeah, remove that.
Okay, it's a
Satya try 10.0.1.0 then 28 or
1.0
slash 28.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, and just creating, we have created our subnet. Okay, so we have attached with that existing IP, and you can do whatever actions you want to do. Create prolog or edit or delete subnet, and same thing, it's a route table also. Before going to there, we are going to see here the subnet one, and this is very important. So here we are able to see network ACL, and the route table perspective. This is the route table, and this is the destination IP numbers. If you click this route table, you are able to see that route table and other related information on this one. Okay. And the internet gateways, it's already created. And if you want to create, you can create one more IG internet gateway. And you can attach that one with other internet gateway with your VPC. Okay, attached to VPC, so that whatever you have created VPC, no VPC ID is available. Okay, because your existing internet gateway is already attached, so you cannot attach multiple internet gateway. So first you have to detach here, and once it will be done, then you can attach your newly created internet gateway and attach to VPC. Here you are able to see the VPC whatever we have created and attach. So now this has been attached and this one has been detached. Okay, so now we know how to create route tables and subnet and internet gateways. And same thing here, we have endpoints which you are able to create, and security groups and ACL, network ACL, everything. Okay, so we have already created this kind of security groups when we are talking about IAM, and we are when we discuss about EC2, that time also we have created, and you try to create your own, and let me know if you have any challenges. Now we are going to create the EC2 instances. Okay, when we are clicking the EC2 instances, okay, so here I'm going for free tier only. Then I'm going with Windows again. Okay, I'm going with 2019 base, and here I'm choosing general purpose, which is a free tier eligible. And earlier it was thrown some error, the VPC was not available. Okay, now after creating our VPC, the VPC has been tagged over here. Now we are able to see the difference. Okay, by default I will go with one instances, and I will leave it as usual as it is, because we already saw this one in our EC2 classes, but now I want to see the difference between these. So that's why I have created this. And art storage, I will leave it as 30 GB at this moment. And art tag, this is I'm going to adding a tag for a web server, and that is the dev environment kind of thing. And configure security groups. Already we have a security groups. Okay, so create a new security group or select a security group. Okay, already we have security group. I'm choosing just that available security group, and this is the option whatever we have chosen. And next I'm going to launch this one. So key pair we have to select. So at this moment I don't have any, so I am creating a new key pair. So I'm just mentioning new key and downloading a key pair, and it's downloaded. Now I'm done to launch the instances. Okay, so my instances now created using our VPC. So it now my instances are well secured because it's already configured with the VPC. And here you are able to see the instances are being created. Okay, so it's created and running fine. Okay. Okay, I'm launching these instances. Sorry. Okay, I'm connecting these instances. Okay, I'm checking this remote desktop. Okay, I will go with the standard RDP. So I'd like to get a password. Okay, password is not available yet. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay, so I think I didn't enable this one. Okay.
Hey, Satya, did you download the key pair thing? If you downloaded it, then this will work.
Yeah, I have downloaded, but I didn't mention that remote desktop thing in one of the setting.
Um,
Okay, remote access to the server is not enabled. Okay, I have to enable that updated thing. So the remote computer is turned off. Okay, remote computer is not available on the network. Make sure remote turned on and connect to the network, and the remote access is enabled. Okay, I didn't enable that one.
um, Satya, you have used the new VPC, whatever you created, right?
Yeah.
For this
Yeah.
EC2. So by I think then the network traffic you need to allow, I guess.
Yeah, I think Satya, you need to attach the internet gateway to the route table, otherwise you cannot access your machine.
I think I have attached. Let's see.
So which one? Yeah, the second one is the one you created.
Yeah, but this one is the main one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Still. Okay, I will set the main route table. Okay, but still, it is already attached with my VPC.
But the main route table doesn't have internet gateway.
So which one? Okay.
You have to attach internet gateway to the route table.
Yeah, I think you're good with internet gateway.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
that's what I see.
go to route tables and check the select
Because this one is the main one.
Correct.
So I think still we are good over here.
Can you check the routes? What is there in that?
With this one?
Yeah, you selected on the bottom side. You have a tab, right? Routes.
Yeah, go to the routes.
Yeah.
So I
Say
think
only local.
so. Yeah, this one actually it's already you have the local and what are the target like local and internet that entries are there. I think you're good with the route table.
Yeah.
Now you go for NACL, network access control links.
Edit the routes, then attach
The
the.
route looks good.
Yeah.
No, a little above, not here.
Yeah, maybe can you check the storage security group? I mean,
No,
Yeah,
security group also
both
fine.
security group and NACL, both you have to update, I guess.
security group. I think RDP port we have to enable, right? For
No, still
SSH.
go up. Still go up. Yeah, under security you have NACL, right? Network ACLs. Not that one. Network ACLs.
But I think we already. Okay.
So you don't need.
But this is not record actually, right?
No, not NAT gateway.
Okay.
So you created with one subnet, right?
Correct.
So for that subnet, since you created manually, you need to go and update your NACL and the security group. Both actually, by default, there will be some traffic restrictions. So can you select which one actually yours public subnet? That is I think you yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah. So here also.
Yeah, select the network ACL. See below this that one.
Yeah.
So go here. Okay,
it's already allowed, right?
Okay, by default, it allows all the traffic. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That looks good. What about? Yeah, I think this is good. Go to security group. Go to security group. Yeah, under security, yeah, that one. So this one you should have used. This is the default security you might have used.
Yeah.
What is the inbound rules? It says.
Inbound 1 permission entry and outbound is 2 permission entry. I think still we are good over here.
So all inbound exits allowed. Okay.
Yeah. And outbound also allowed.
Wait. From the security group.
Yeah.
Inbound rule.
Now you try to connect through RDP. It may work because you changed the internet gateway, right, to default. So now you try to connect through RDP.
Okay, let's see.
I think we have to add the RDP. Now we have to open the RDP port.
RDP already the only one thing is I didn't enable RDP for this EC2 instance. That is the only thing I didn't. I think we have allowed all the traffic and everything.
Satya, can you allow the RDP port 3349? I'm not sure the port number. Maybe you can try that.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the security group, everything is allowed, right? All traffic is allowed.
Yeah.
All traffic is allowed, but if you see the source, it is of security group ID. It's not within any IP, right? Satya, can you go to this security group once, please?
Okay.
Yeah. If you see the inbound rule, it's saying all traffic and source is this ID, right? It is not with the IP. Edit the inbound rule. Inbound rule, edit, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Here, if you give either if you allow RDP 3349 port, right? If you can add one more rule,
Okay. But here, whatever we have created, we are allowing that one, right? Okay.
RDP, yeah.
Okay, it is 3389.
Yeah, now
For
you can
example, I'm
allow.
choosing 8. That is okay, right?
Yeah, that
No,
is. You can
no.
allow all 00.
All.
All, yeah.
Yeah. Or you have to restrict to your IP. If you want to restrict your IP, put your my IP or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, that is open. Everybody can.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Also, you need to delete that /8. Why do you put that /8? Yeah. Now it's public. Anybody can access that.
Okay. So let's see.
You are trying now.
Hmm. Okay, I will do some research and we'll talk about this one next week.
Somewhere in the.
Yeah, it was working for me for other account. So, okay, it was working for me other account. I did hands-on. Okay, but anyway, I will try to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Satya, just go back to that previous screen. You didn't choose any file.
Which file you are talking about?
When you're getting the password, right? Like
No, that is
key
actually
pair.
private key. I think that is not related. This one first of all, the connection itself it is not successful. So that's the challenge. Okay, so I will work on this one and I will keep you posted. It was working for me another account, but I will try. Sorry for.
We'll also play around with that and then we'll learn.
Okay. I think we already tried this one. Won't you restart instances? No, we need not, because whenever you are applying the security group, it is by default it will be applicable immediately. So no need to restart the instances. All right. So that's what we did. We have created a VPC and everything, but RDP we have some issues, but we will talk about on the next week. All right. Any questions if you have any?
So this is Rajesh. Just a question, couple of questions. How many subnets we can create per VPC?
You can create any number of subnet, but the main point is you have to create within that availability zone.
Okay.
And also depends on the side of what you mentioned in the VPC. That's correct?
Yeah. That's what your question?
So
yeah.
Okay.
So Satya, this is Krish. So say if you have subnets right within a VPC, does you talked about the IP ranges, right? There was a maximum, right?
Yeah.
The IP addresses you can have. So is it for the VPC or is it for the subnet?
It's a subnet actually.
So then, the number of subnets that you can have within a VPC will be limited by the IP range.
Yes.
That's right.
I think that will answer Raj's question.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Thanks. So my second question is, can we monitor the network traffic within the VPC?
Network traffic, yes, you can.
Okay.
That's why he was showing like the VPC flow logs where you can log your.
Okay. Yep. Thanks.
So Satya, Suresh again, another question.